Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Azrin here, coming to you with another Gujarati lesson. It's been about a month and a half or so since I've recorded any of these. I do want to apologize for that. I did want to be more regular, more consistent with these videos. That was my initial intention. I'll be honest with you, I have been going through a personal and professional transformation over the past couple of months. I've realized that I had too many things on my plate. I was trying to do too many things. I had my hands in too many buckets, too many cookie jars. And I've been prioritizing lately, making sure that I spend time on things that are most important to me, and things that are less important either get less time or they're actually just cut out of my life. Interestingly, or maybe it's interesting, I don't know, but if you want to see, if you actually want to read about some of this personal transformation I've been going through, you're welcome to check out my blog. You can go to azren.substack.com. That's AZ or ZREN.substack.com. Maybe I'll just type it on the screen for you here so you can just see how that is. So it's like that, azren.substack.com. And over the past couple of months, at least as I'm recording this, we're in October, middle of October 2023. Over the past few months, I've been writing about this personal transformation. So with these videos here, I hope to get into a rhythm, into a more regular rhythm once again. Now, over the past 5 lessons, we have gone over the Gujarati alphabet. We talked about consonants, we talked about vowels, we talked about how to put consonants and vowels together. What we're going to start today, it'll take us 2 lessons, 2 videos to get through this, and we're going to talk about the basic sentence structure of Gujarati. More specifically, this is the present tense in Gujarati. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. We're going to talk about it. 2 things we're going to learn over the next 2 videos. We're going to learn the main subject pronouns in Gujarati, and we're going to learn how to use them to make simple sentences in the present tense. Now, subject pronouns. English has 7 of them. I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. These are all words that can be replaced by a person's name. These are all people words, essentially. I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. These are very important because you can't really make sentences. It's very difficult. Most of the time, you can't make sentences without these words. Most sentences are going to have I, you, he, she, it, we, or they. We could get a little bit deeper into these subject pronouns, and there are technically sentences that start in English that don't have these words, but we're going to leave that aside for now. For the time being, you just need to know that English has 7 subject pronouns: I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. These are words that could be replaced by someone's name, or possibly multiple people's names in the case of they. Now, Gujarati has more subject pronouns than English, but as a beginner learner, you definitely don't need to know them all. You only need to know these ones. We have hu, tu, tame, te or e, ame, apne, teo, e loco or te loco. Let's talk a little bit more about each one. Hu, there's not much to say about it. It just means I, just like in English. Tu and tame, there is something worth talking about because, well, we don't have a tu and tame distinction in English. Tu is a casual or informal word for you. You essentially are going to use it with children, friends, or family members who are a similar age as you. You also might use it with your mom. It depends on the family, depends on the person. Some people use tu with their mom, some people might use tame, but you also might use it with your mom. So again, tu is casual or informal. It means you, and mostly you're going to use it with children, friends, or family members who are a similar age as you, and possibly with your mom. The other word for you is tame. Tame is more polite or formal. It also means you. So 2 words in Gujarati that only have one English equivalent. So tame means you as well, but it's used when you talk to people who are older than you or people you don't know very well. It's also used when you're talking to your father frequently, or other family members who are older than you, with the potential exception of your mom. So if you're talking to your grandma, your grandpa, you're talking to an older aunt or uncle, for example, these are all people that you're going to address with tame. And And also your father, frequently your father as well, your dad as well. You would also use tame with him. Okay. So as a recap, two different words for you in Gujarati. Tu, which is informal or casual. Tame, which is more polite or formal. Moving on. We have te and e. Now, te and e mean he and she, but listen carefully. Listen carefully. Te, I'm actually going to draw this on the screen for you. It'll be easier. Both of these words each mean he and she. So e can mean he, e can mean she. Te can mean he, and te can also mean she. Te and e are synonyms. They're synonyms. You can use te or you can use e. Both are correct. Okay. Now, te might be used a little more frequently in writing, whereas e might be used a little bit more when speaking, but this is just a subjective guess on my part. I could be really wrong about this. The thing about Gujarati that is different from other, let's say, widely learned languages, such as French or Spanish or English, is that there's a couple differences. One of them is that the regional differences are not as well documented. In a language like English, for example, you can find people who will tell you, a lot of people who will know that in this part of England, they have this kind of accent, they use these kinds of words, their grammar changes like this, and there are linguists, for example, and even everyday people that are not linguists, they will tell you, oh, yeah, this region of England talks like this region of England talks like this, that region of England talks like this. In the US as well, people sort of know, oh, in the South, they have an accent like this, and this state talks like this, and that state talks like that, and this is a difference that they have here. And there are even lots of linguists, lots of them, who will just tell you, oh, these are the exact technical differences between this state and that state, this region, that region. Spanish are the same thing. Like a lot of these widely learned languages, very widely spoken languages, they're quite well documented. And so there are often standard forms of speaking that are widely accepted. Now, people might not like that it's standard. People might think that there shouldn't be a standard. People might think that it shouldn't be called the standard because it puts it up on a pedestal and it makes it sound like it's better than the non-standard varieties. But still, there are certain dialects or certain ways of speaking that are considered to be more standard, and these are things that are perhaps widely agreed upon, depends on the language. And if not, they're going to be, sometimes they're even codified. Sometimes they're even officially said by some kind of governing body that says this is the correct way to say things. Everything else is a non-standard variant. And that's a whole discussion we can get into for another day. There's a lot of debate around this topic, but where it gets relevant for Gujarati is that we don't really have that. We don't have a lot of those dynamics in Gujarati. So sometimes figuring out what's how do you say this? Sometimes it's hard to know, it's hard to know, like, is te more common or is e more common? Because you go to one region, they're saying a lot of te. You go to another region, they're saying a lot of e. One person tells you, oh, no, you've got to use e. Someone else goes, no, te is too formal. One person goes, oh, no, they're the same. Pick and like you do get a lot of variation. And this here at the bottom, where te is used a little more in writing and e is more in speaking, it's just a personal observation. It could be way off. I actually don't know, but personally, when I observe it, it seems to me that way. But again, I could be completely wrong. So there's a whole rant about that. By the way, if you are a native speaker watching this, I'd love to please write in the comments, what do you think about this te and e? I'm happy to make another video to clarify as I personally learn more. There's one more word for he and she, which is e. Like this one, I really don't think you ever write. This is just a spoken thing. E, like my family actually says e, right? Like e, or we can use an I, e. That's another word, but that one really is more spoken, and that one is definitely quite regional. It's not everyone that says that one. Okay, moving on. We have two words for we. This is the word for we in Gujarati. We have two of them. We have apne and ame. Apne is inclusive, ame is exclusive. So what does that mean? Apne means if I'm talking to you and I use apne, I'm including you in what activity was done. If I said apne, like let's do it like this. I'm just gonna write, because we only have one word for we in Gujarati, in English rather, I'm gonna call this we number 1, and this is we number 2. Okay, oops, we number 2. Okay, if I use we number 1, apne, and I say we number 1, apne, went to the movies yesterday, that means both you and I went to the movies. But if I say ame, as in like me and, as in like if I tell you ame, like we number 2 and went to the movies, that means that I went with someone else, but you didn't come. So again, apne, this one here, we number 1, means that you came with me to whatever we did. You were with me. Ame, we number 2, means you were not with me, but I went with someone else. So this here is you. You weren't with me. It was like me and someone else that went to do some activity. But in this one, if this one's you, let's say this is you here, you were with me along with possibly some other people. Okay, hope that makes sense. If not, feel free to write in the comments or send me an email or a note. Happy to answer and clarify. Here we go. We have teo and eloko, which are synonyms, which all mean they. Teo, I see a lot more in writing, although people will use it in speaking too. Eloko or teloko also means they, but I just want to make one little clarification. Loko means people. So if you're going to say eloko, teloko when you're talking, it has to be referring to people. If you have like a bunch of dogs running around and you said they, you couldn't say eloko, teloko, because those are not local. Those are dogs, right? So teo is a really common word for they. I personally wonder if I see it more in writing than I hear people say it, but again, that's just like I was saying on te and e earlier. Same thing, like that just might be a personal observation, but anyway. So teo is a really common word. If you're referring to people, you could say eloko or te loco. That's also an option if you're referring to people. Okay. Let's clear that. You could replace loco with, if it's an animal or something, like it's birds or dogs or whatnot, you could replace loco with whatever the animal in whatever animal you're referring to in question, if you wanted to. All right. And this is, I think, where we'll leave off. This will continue in video number 2. Okay, I said we're going to split this lesson into 2 parts. So as a summary, what we looked at today, we looked at the subject pronouns in Gujarati. We have these ones here. Hu, tu, tame, te, e, ame, apne, teo, or possibly eloko, teloko. And we looked at the differences between some of these ones that we don't have English equivalents for. Like we don't have a tu and tame in English. So we looked at this difference. Te and e, we looked at how they both mean he and she. It's not like one means he and one means she. No, they're just synonyms and both have a double meaning of he and she, as well as it, I suppose. We looked at the difference. We looked at the difference between ame and apne, and then we looked at these different ways to say they. Well, if you have any questions, again, you're welcome to contact me. You can do so. I'll just write it on the screen here. You're welcome to contact me by going to, oops, oh my God. Azren, thelanguagenerd.com/contact. So AZ or ZREN, thelanguagenerd.com/contact. You can email me from there. You can see all my social media platforms and contact me that way, whatever you want. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk very soon. Aujo.